Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Translation. The Supreme Lord, the personality of Godhead, lies down in the water on the seat of Ananta with his eyes closed, and the inhabitants of the Janaloka planets offer their glorious prayers unto the Lord with folded hands. Purport. We should not understand the sleeping condition of the Lord to be the same as our sleep. Hence, the word Yoga Nidra is specifically mentioned, which indicates that the Lord's sleeping condition is also a manifestation of his internal potency. Whenever the word yoga is used, it should be understood to refer to that which is transcendental. In the transcendental stage, all activities are always present and they are glorified by prayers of great sages like Bhrigu. Thus ends the Bhakti Vedanta purport. So, we are continuing to discuss from the chapter Calculation of Time from the Atom. So, Maitreya Muni starts this chapter with an explanation of atomic time starting from Truti. Further it goes on. So, Truti is the smallest time scale which is there. So then further he comes to the human beings, the earthly beings, human beings time scale, that is our days, 15 days, month, year. So further it goes on. Then he explains about Manus, the duration of Manus, and in the duration what happens. After the annihilation of the Manus, what happens? They all wind up, and when a new Manu comes in the one day of Brahma, so then he comes with his own team of new Saptarshri Mandala, then new Indra. So different sages. He has his own and different heavenly denizens like Gandharvas. So then further he explains about, then he comes to Brahma's time scale, that is the universal time scale, starting from the atomic time scale to the universal time scale. So there Maitreya Muni explains about what happens in the day of Brahma. So in a day of Brahma there are 14 Manus. So then that's where the Manus, when they born, they come up with a set of their own, the team members, the core team members, and they, when they annihilate, so again new set is prepared, new set they come into existence. So then after describing about the day of Brahma, a day of Brahma, that is how many Manus are there in one day of Brahma? 14. And how many, what is the duration of each Manu? It's actually little more than 71 as mentioned in this chapter. So generally we say 72. It's little more than 71. So 72 cycles of Mahayuga, all 4 yugas put together. So that's the duration of Manu. So when the 14 Manus, when they come and when they are annihilated, so that comes the night of Brahma. So in the last couple of verses, Brahma's night duration is being explained. What happens actually in the Brahma's night time. So when the Brahma's night time starts actually, so there is a fearful fire emanating from the mouth of Lord Ananta. So Lord Ananta, who is holding all the material planets on his hoods, just like mustard seeds. They are very, compared to Ananta's size, compared to Ananta's bodily size. So universe are like just a small mustard seeds. So he is holding that. So he emanates incessant fire, continuous fire for how many years? 100 years of demigods, which comes to 36,000 years of human beings. So for 36,000, there is a continuous fire emanating from the Lord Ananta's mouth. So then Prabhupada says, generally whenever there is an extreme heat, that's followed by rain. So generally sometimes, especially in the villages, our father or grandfather, they would say, today is very, very hot, so probably it may rain today. So whenever there is extreme heat, it's always followed by rain. So then for next 36,000 years or 100 years of demigods, there is torrents of rain. So that the rain is so, the amount of what downpour is so heavy that the sea starts overflowing. So then that water is covers entire universe. So then everything is submerged in the water. So even before the rain starts, what happens? The Maharloka planets. We have Bhu, Bhuvar, Swarga, then Maha, Jana, Tapa, Satya. These are the 7 planetary systems. we can say middle and upper planetary system both put together actually. So the 7 planetary systems, out of that, first 3, Bhu, Bhuvar, Swaha, they all get completely burnt in the fire and then submerged in the water. So some kind of fire, the heat, even Maharloka, denizens of Maharloka, the sages, those who are staying in that, they are all greatly saintly devotees. So they all, because of the heat, they move towards Janaloka planets. From Maharloka, they all move to Janaloka planet to um, to safeguard themselves from the heat of the fire. So then when they move to the Janaloka planet, there is a rain. So then entire 3 planetary systems, Bhu, Bhuvar and Swarga, all these 3 are completely submerged in the water. So now in the previous verse it was mentioned that what happens after they are submerged? The night of Brahma ensures all the 3 worlds are out of sight. There is no electricity, there is no light, because the sun and moon are without glare, just as in the course of ordinary night. Especially in our night also, when the sun sets, so there is darkness. We have artificial way of lightning, but even when electricity fails, we see a complete darkness actually. Or in the villages, if you go where there is no electricity or there is lot of power cutting, power shedding, so you can see night it is completely dark. Similarly, entire these 3 worlds, they are completely out of sight. So that doesn't mean sun and, here it is mentioned sun and moon are without glare. It doesn't mean sun and moon actually are annihilated. No, only for these 3 worlds their sight is not approachable. Whereas in other planets, sunlight and moonlight, they are continuing to dissipate as per their regular duties. So these planets, they are completely in darkness. So that is the time. So then the Janaloka planets, those who have already transported from Maharloka and those who are already there in Janaloka, so they start offering prayers to the Lord. So this is the today's verse which mentions about their prayers. They start even praying that. Antassa tasmin salile. Anta means within. Salila means water. So within the water, actually what happens? Tasmin means in that water. Aste anantasano harihi. Ananta asanaha. Asana means, we say, Vyasasana or class asana. So asana is bedding or a sitting place or a place for laying down. So and what is that place? It's Ananta. So the Supreme Lord, Garbhodaka Shai Vishnu, he lays down on the bed of Ananta. Hari means the Supreme Lord. Then what is he doing? Laying down. Yoga Nidra Nimila Akshaha. Nimila Aksha. Nimila means with his eyes closed. Nimila Aksha, with his eyes closed, what is he doing? He is engaged in Yoga Nidra. He is sleeping. Then Stuyamano Jana Alayai. Alaya means a place. We say Devalai or Swargalai. Alaya means a place. So Jana Alaya. In the Janaloka planets, all the denizens, what they do? Stuyamana. Stuyamana means they offer prayers. Stuti. Another word in the Sanskrit is Stuti. So Stuti means offering prayers. So they start offering prayers while the Lord is sleeping, laying down on the bed of Ananta with his eyes closed, and he is engaged in his Yoga Nidra. So Nidra generally refers to what? Sleeping condition. So what is the difference between Nidra and Yoga Nidra, which Prabhupada clarifies in the a small purport but very informative purport, where Prabhupada says, so in our case, Nidra means it's an influence of ignorance, where all material activities comes into halt. There is a complete cessation of all other activities. When we go to sleep, we cannot do anything else. But whereas the Lord's Nidra is Yoga Nidra, which is completely contrary to the sleeping in this material world, which Prabhupada mentions here. We should not understand sleeping condition of the Lord to be the same as our sleep. Here the word Yoga Nidra is specifically mentioned, which indicates the Lord's sleeping condition is also a manifestation of his internal potency. So our sleep is because of external potency. We are influenced by the one of the quality of Mahamaya, that is the ignorance, avidya potency. But whereas Lord's Yoga Nidra is because of his internal potency. Then in the transcendental stage, all activities are always present. In material world, in our case, when we go to sleep, everything comes into complete cessation. There is a stop stopgap for all activities. But whereas in the transcendental world, all activities are always present. That is the another difference between our nidra and Supreme Lord's nidra. Here, yoga nidra refers to the sleeping of the Lord in the internal potency. So not only the Lord's sleeping in couple of other in another place in Srimad Bhagavatam, which mentions even Brahma when he goes to the sleep in the night time, that is also mentioned as yoga nidra. And great sages or munis or devotees of the Lord, when they go to sleep, that's also mentioned as yoga nidra. So why? Because so even though they are engaged in the sleeping, which may apparently appear like a influence of ignorance, but it's not yoga. It's not just a influence of ignorance. It's not just a sleeping out of ignorance, because they are always in the devotional service of the Lord. Prabhupada gives a simple example. Suppose if even a devotee sleeps also. So how devotee sleeps? What should be the actually understanding when a devotee sleeps? So we all take it very very funny way, but otherwise, a devotee has to go to sleep so that he can take a sufficient rest. A body needs a rest. Material body, material yantra it needs rest. And after sleeping, I can rejuvenate and perform devotional service nicely. This is what a real sleeping for a devotees. That's why Brahma's nidra is also called as yoga nidra. Or other great sages, saintly persons, when they go to sleep, that's also known as yoga nidra. They don't just go because they are tired, because they somehow they want to go and sleep. They are not influenced by ignorance. When they go to sleep also, they know that I have to rejuvenate my body so that after waking up I can perform devotional service nicely. So that's the reason when a devotee or when a saintly person, when he is advanced in devotional service, generally they tend to reduce their sleep. Just like in the case of Srila Prabhupada or Bhakti Vinod Thakur. Generally, when we there is a time schedule of Bhakti Vinod Thakur. He used to come back from his, he was a district magistrate, come back from the court, evening 7 o'clock, 6:30, 7 o'clock, he would have his dinner and go to sleep. Then wake up at around 10:30. Then he would start writing, start writing on Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, or whatever the famous songs which Bhakti Vinod Thakur has written. It would go on till next morning. Then morning again he would sleep for some time, then wake up, finish his chanting, then go to the court. Whole day engaged in his material activity, come back again, continue that. So that's why the saintly persons are advanced, devotees' sleep is also yoga nidra. Because they are not influenced by ignorance. They have actually come out of the mode of ignorance. They have come out of all the three material modes of nature. They are not at all under the modes of material nature. That's why even their nidra is yoga nidra. So that's why Prabhupada is mentioning, in the transcendental stage, all activities are always present and they are glorified by prayers of great sages like Bhrigu. Bhrigu means Bhrigu was in Maharloka, has transported himself into Janarloka. So other great sages, they all offer prayers to the Lord. So that is glorified. Here in the material world, when we sleep, we go into complete tamoguna. But whereas in the spiritual world, in the transcendental stage, it is glorified. Even yoga nidra is glorified by great sages like this. So in one of the Srimad Bhagavatam purport, Prabhupada, in the 10th canto, 2nd chapter, so where before even Krishna's birth, Balram's birth is mentioned. So how Balram's birth happened? Balram was in the womb of Devaki. Then the child was transported from Devaki's womb to Rohini. So there it mentions about Garbhe praniti devakya Rohinim yoga nidraya aho vishramshito garbha iti paura vichukrushuhu. So there it was because of the internal potency of the Lord that Lord Balram was transported or shifted from Devaki's womb to the Rohini's womb. So while writing that purport, Prabhupada quotes verse from Bhagavad Gita. In the purport of that verse, Prabhupada quotes famous verse from Bhagavad Gita 2.69. Yanisha sarva bhutanam tasyam jagrati samyami yasmyam jagrati bhutani sanisha pashyato mune. So what is the night for all beings is the time of awakening for the self-control. It means night for all beings means karmis, materialistic people. So that is the awakening, time of awakening for the self-control, that is devotee, are great sages. And the time of awakening for all beings is night for introspective sage. So when materialistic people, karmis, are awake, it's a night for introspective stage. The stage of self-realization is called Yoga Nidra. So in this verse, there are two things. One is the literal meaning. What is the literal meaning? For a karmi, whatever is the night, it's a day for spiritualist, for a transcendentalist. So practically we can see, our sadhana time, it is a time where most of the karmis, they are in a deep sleep, especially these days. In the influence of Kali Yuga, they sleep at 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock by the time we wake up for Mangala Aarti. And opposite, when they are awake, that means they are awake till the late night. They go to the movies, they go to the clubs, pubs. Recently in Bangalore, so the club association members, they have given a memorandum to the request letter to the government saying that you are all, police people, whenever they come and tell us to close at 12 o'clock, but this is the peak time for our business. Please allow us to open till 2 o'clock in the night. So 12 o'clock, even 12 o'clock in the night is the deep sleep for a devotee. So this is the literal meaning. So whereas Prabhupada mentions another transcendental meaning to this verse. So there is a literal meaning that literally in literal word exactly this is what it happens. But another meaning is that what is the night for all being is the time of awakening for the self-control. So night for all beings means they go into the sleep, they go into the tamoguna. So they have forgotten that what is the meaning of their life. Why they have got this body, why they have come here, what they are supposed to do, they have completely forgotten. That is nothing but a sleeping condition. When a person goes into sleep, what happens actually? In the sleep, there are 3 stages. And one of the stages is complete like a dead body. Even a serpent, crosses your body. Even if someone comes and kicks you, some big noise is happening, still you are not disturbed. That is the deep sleep stage. So, deep sleep means we are not aware of what is happening outside. Similarly, a person who does not know what is the meaning of self-realization, what is the goal of his life, he is also in the deep sleep condition only. There is no difference between a person who is in deep sleep and person who has forgotten his aim of life. But whereas opposite of that is what? Time of awakening for the self-control. For a self-controlled person, he knows that yes, I should not waste my body. This body, after so many lives I have got, this human body, especially this human birth, I have got after a long period of life struggling in the 84 lakh species of life. So now I should not waste this like cats and dogs. I should engage this body in serving the Supreme Lord and go back to Godhead. So this is one meaning. Then second, and the time of awakening for all beings is night for the introspective sage. So when they become awake whenever they have a material activity. Just like a passionate person, a businessman, is always active for what? For some material profit, where I can invest and where I can get a maximum return on my invest. So they are always engaged in thinking about those interests only. They are not at all interested about self-goal. But whereas introspective stage, when they are active, what does the introspective sage do? He is actually sleeping. Sleeping means he is not at all interested in those activities. So he is completely different. He is completely independent from those activities. He does not engage himself in those activities which results in further taking of bodies, ugra karma activities. So these are the two meanings. One is a literal meaning, another is a philosophical meaning. So this verse, then Prabhupada further mentions in that purport, all material activities appears to be a dream when one is spiritually awakened. When one is spiritually awakened, all material activities is like a dream. That's what actually it is actually. Entire material world is what? It's an experience of the spirit soul who is in the deep sleep in spiritual world. Because when we want to enjoy independent of Krishna, so Krishna being a very merciful father, so he allows us, but he actually does not allow the soul being a spirit, it's a spiritual being. Its nature is what? Satchit Ananda. It cannot come in touch with any of that material qualities. Either goodness, passion, or ignorance, or any such material qualities cannot influence the soul. So then what is actually entire material world? It's an experience of the soul who is sleeping in the spiritual world. In the dream, he is just experiencing all these things, what's happening here. So all these, so many life, birth after birth, so different bodies they have got, different suffering, different enjoyment, so-called enjoyment. All this is what? Just an experience of the spirit soul sleeping in the spiritual world. That's what Prabhupada is saying. All material activities appears to be dream when one is spiritually awakened. Thus, Yoga Nidra may be explained to Yoga Maya. So Prabhupada says Yoga Maya and Yoga Nidra both are almost same. So Yoga Nidra may be explained to be Yoga Maya. So Yoga Nidra, the Lord who is sleeping, the Lord who is in Yoga Nidra, it's because of the influence of the Yoga Maya of the Lord. It's not because of our sleeping is influence of Mahamaya, but Lord influence is Yoga Maya. But when we explain all these things, for a materialistic person, or a asuric person, or a person who is not at all interested in spiritual life, for him it looks like, hey, it's all story. And it is entire material, what activity is going on, it's all experience. It's all bluff actually. So Kunti Maharani in her prayers explains that how materialistic persons, they cannot understand all these activities, all these even instructions from the Vedic literatures. So Kunti Maharani in her famous prayers in the 8th chapter of the first canto, so she prays that Maya Javanikachannam Agna Dokshajam Avyayam Nalakshase Mudadrisha Nato Natya Daroyata. So Maya Javanika Achannam. Achannam means covering. Maya Javanika Achannam. Javanika means curtain. So Lord is covered by curtain of what? Maya. What you call it? It's a deluding energy. It's a Mahamaya. So why it is so? Because for a materialistic person, one who does not want to believe in Lord, one who does not want to appreciate the Lord, so Lord also will give that free will to him. Okay, if you don't want to appreciate, don't appreciate. It is said that when the Lord Krishna was personally present in Dwaraka or Mathura or in Vrindavan, how many people could really understand the Krishna as he is, as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, as the absolute truth? Only countable number of devotees could understand Krishna as he is. Like Vidura or Akrura or Vasudeva, only Uddhava. Only these exalted devotees could understand Lord as. Otherwise, some were thinking Krishna as some Mayavi, some mystic person. Someone thought he is some big yogi. Someone thought he is a very powerful person. Someone thought he is a magician. So different way, according to their level of understanding, they could understand Krishna. So, but to understand Krishna as he is, as an absolute truth, it's not easy. Because Krishna is covered by, for those persons, Krishna has covered himself. They cannot see Krishna as he is. So, Kunti Maharani prays, being beyond the range of limited sense perception, Agna Dokshaja. Adokshaja means beyond the sense perception. So, Krishna is, for ignorant person, is the beyond sense perception. And you are eternally approachable. Krishna is not at all approachable eternally. That means for a long duration of life. Here eternally refers to a long duration of life for so many lifetimes. Otherwise, soul cannot even, Jiva cannot understand Krishna. But ultimately one day he has to understand Krishna. There is no other way. So, he is eternally irapproachable factor covered by the curtain of deluding energy. Maya Javanika. Javanika means curtain made of what? Maya, the deluding energy. You are invisible to the foolish observer, exactly as an actor dressed as a player is not recognized. So in a drama, a person has dressed himself as some Rakshasa, some whatever character he has been assigned with. So sometimes it so happens, especially in the olden days, it used to happen whenever such characters come. People just like famous Ramayana. Our Ramayana. So everyone now even know who is that character name? Arun Govil. So people see him as Rama. Some videos come recently that in the airport some lady is going and touching his feet and doing Aarti to him whenever he goes. Because people know, they don't see him as Arun Govil, they don't see him as Lord Rama. So this is the fault in the material world. So just like in this drama, in the drama, how a original person is forgotten, and whatever the character he is performing, they see like that. Similarly, Supreme Lord also. So original Supreme Lord is covered. So what we see what we want to see, according to the level of understanding, according to the level of devotion. So in the next verse, Kunti Maharani in her prayers, she mentions, in the 20th verse, Tata Paramahamsanam Muninam Amalatmanam Bhakti Yoga Vidhanartam Katam Pashyena Hishriyaha. So then, how does the Lord reveal himself? Okay, we know that, because from our material senses, Lord is Adokshaja, it's beyond our sense perception, we cannot understand him. Then how can we actually understand him? So that when Lord himself reveals to us, Swayam Eva Spuradyadaha. So when he decides to reveal to us, so then Kunti Maharani in her prayer, she is praying, you yourself descend to propagate the transcendental science of devotional service onto the hearts of the advanced transcendentalists and mental speculators. The Lord is ready to dissipate devotional service, is ready to give devotional service, the knowledge of devotional service to both transcendentalists, that means those who are engaged in the devotional service, and also the mental speculators, impersonal philosophers or yogis. He is revealing to both, who are purified by being able to discriminate between matter and spirit. How can we women know you perfectly? So she is putting herself in a humble position that, even great transcendentalists or great yogis, for them it is very difficult to understand you. Then as a ordinary woman, how can I understand? Even though she is such a great exalted devotee, such prayers, even even after so many years, as devotees, we recite those prayers, we repeat those prayers. So she is putting herself in that humble position and praying to the Lord. So here Kunti Maharani says that Lord descends to propagate transcendental science of devotional service onto the hearts of advanced transcendentalists and mental speculators both. So, but what happens when the Lord is ready to give that knowledge of devotional service? Why even mental speculators, they don't take it to devotional service? So then, why it is difficult for even, it is said that, yogi, even after many, many lifetimes, even if they attain the mukti of merging into the impersonal Brahman feature of the Lord, still they cannot exist there, still they cannot continue there. Somewhere, either they have to transport themselves to the lotus feet of the Lord, to the eternal abode of the Lord, or else they have to come back to this material world. So that's what Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita says, that there are two parts in the transcendental attainment of the transcendental devotional service. So one path is very difficult, another path is very easy. So both the paths Krishna has explained. So in the 12th chapter, devotional service, Arjuna, in the first verse, he asked the question that, who is considered to be more perfect? Those who are properly engaged in devotional service, or those who worship the impersonal Brahman, the unmanifested? So he is asking, who is perfect? Who will attain the perfection first? Then the Lord says, those who are fixed in my personal form, always engaged in worshipping me with great and transcendental faith, is considered by me to be most perfect. So perfect is one who worships the Supreme Lord in his personal future, through the process of devotional service. Mai aveshya mano yam nitya yukta upasate. Nitya yukta upasate. Those who are worshipping me without any cessation. Continuously those are worshipping me. So then in the further next verse, Krishna says, but those who fully worship the unmanifested, worshipping the Supreme Lord through devotional service is worshipping the manifested form of the Lord, personal form of the Lord. So those who are worshipping the unmanifested, that which lies beyond the perception of the senses, that is Adokshaja, the all-pervading, inconceivable, fixed and immovable, the impersonal conception of the absolute truth, by controlling various senses and being equally disposed to everyone, such persons engaged in the welfare of all, at last achieve me. First, Krishna is saying, most perfect is one, those who worship me through the devotional service. Second is saying, those who are worshipping the impersonal form, they will also achieve me, but at last. So what is that meaning of last? That Krishna further explains. In the fifth verse, Klesho adhikarastesham avyakta sakta chetasam. Avyakta hi gatir dukkam deha vadbir avapyate. Klesha means what? Difficulties. Mushkile. So Klesho adhika means more. So Krishna says, for those whose minds are attached to unmanifested impersonal feature of the Supreme, advancement is very troublesome. Klesha, it's very, very troublesome. To make progress in that discipline is always difficult for those who are embodied. So even though they know what is spirit, what is matter, they know the Lord is beyond this, beyond the sense perception, all these things, but still for them, attaining the supreme, absolute truth is very difficult because they have taken that path which is very, very difficult. Klesha adhikarastesham. Then in the next verse, it's a very lengthy purport for this verse Prabhupada writes. Then in the next verse, Krishna mentions, for one who worships me, giving up all his activities unto me and being devoted to me without deviation, engaged in devotional service and always meditating upon me, who has fixed his mind upon me, O son of Pruta, for him I am the swift deliverer from the ocean of birth and death. So Krishna is saying that one path is very difficult, that is the path of impersonal worship of the Supreme Lord. Those who want to worship the Supreme Lord as an impersonal aspect, as an impersonal Brahman. So for those who want to worship the Supreme Lord in his personal form, what happens? I am the swift deliverer from the ocean of birth and death. So the devotee need not, for him also the difficulty is same. But where the process becomes easy, because the Supreme Lord himself will come to deliver the devotee. Krishna is assuring that, O son of Pruta, for him I am the swift deliverer. Swift means immediately. Swift means something which is fast. So swift deliverer from the ocean of birth and death. So it's here Krishna is assuring that he himself will deliver the devotee. How he will make the path very easy? By Krishna's self. That's the meaning of Swayam Eva Spuradyataha. When Krishna decides to help the devotee by seeing the sincere endeavor of the devotee may not be perfect, but he is following the path sincerely. He is continuously engaged. In his engagement, sometimes it may be success, sometimes it may be failure, but he is still on the path. He is not deviating from his path. He is not getting discouraged or he is not getting deviated from that path. So that is what Krishna is seeing. So when Krishna sees that, then immediately he will deliver us. That's what Kunti Maharani is praying. That even though yogi is impersonalist, for every kind of transcendentalist, you are ready to give the knowledge of devotional service. But what happens? Who will accept that? Who will become successful? Those who are actually very patient. Those who are ananya yogena. They are continuously engaged in that path without any deviation, without any cessation. So for them, then Krishna will come personally and then he will actually deliver. Actually, this material world is so many complications are there in this material world. Even in the path of devotional service, when everything is seeming to be a very smoothly going, suddenly some stumbling block will come. Sometimes when we are not prepared, it can come as a big shock to us. In the form of what? In the form of so many kleshas. Either three kinds of kleshas, or because of because of my own body, because of my own mind, because of maybe someone else, or because of natural calamities. Devotee may fall sick, especially when we are sick, and especially when we are in a sickness which lasts for a long duration of life. That is the time, it's a challenging time because the consciousness goes down. So this is where devotee has to actually maintain his consciousness, maintain his enthusiasm. So how to maintain the enthusiasm? For that, really a devotee needs one or two strong slaps from the Maya. Then he will understand how horrible is the material world. Just to give an example, recently there was an article in one of the news article. So in Indian family, husband and wife, they are working in Germany. So now they have come to India and they are pleading the Indian government, the external affair minister and prime minister, that they want to claim back their child which is in the possession of German government. So what happened in Germany when they were working in Germany? So they had 5-year-old daughter. So she was they have, both husband and wife are working. When they go to some other country, and especially working couples, so they have to really work very hard. So then they had given lot of toys to that daughter. She was playing with the toys. So while playing, accidentally she hurted herself in her private parts, in her you know that private parts area, genital area. So then immediately they rushed to the hospital. When the doctor examined, first what did he do? He called the cops, police, because doctor suspected that this may be some sexual assault, maybe some sexual harassment, maybe by father or anyone. So then the police came. They started inquiring the father. So then mother also trying to convince the doctor and police both. No, no, no. She was playing with the toy. Accidentally she hurt it. However it would have happened. Accidentally she hurt it. Nothing has happened. Then doctor examined everything. Then he said, no, it's not a sexual assault. It's some physical hurt only because of some external element. So that is convinced. Now they went into the history of their bank balance, everything. So they said child is fine now. So when they went to get that child discharged, daughter from the hospital back to the home, they said no, we will not be able to hand over your child back to you. Why? By seeing your financial track record, you are financially very struggling. So by seeing your bank balance, we are not confident that you will be able to bring up this child in a very good condition. If you are financially good enough, if you are really situated well, you would have kept one nurse, or you would have admitted the child to some school. This incident would have not happened. So since you are financially not strong, you are not capable enough to bring up this child in a good condition. So until your financial condition improves, or you prove that you have a sufficient bank balance, till then it will be in the government care. This is what happens in most of even American or European countries. So, the child responsibility is the government responsibility. Even the Indian couple, even though they have not green card, they have gone on a temporary visa for a working. But if the baby is born on that land, that baby it naturally becomes the citizen of that country, as per the USA law. So then it becomes the government responsibility to take care of that. The child is brought up in a standard way, as per their standards, as per their checklist. So now this German couple, Indian couple, they are coming and crying here that we want our daughter back. We don't know how she is crying. They are not allowing us to even meet her once. So just given when I read this, I understood how complicated is this material world. Even material laws, ordinary laws. They said we never knew all these things exist in that country. If we knew before only, we would have not gone to that country, because in India we don't see any such thing happening. Correct, right? So in India it's a completely different laws, different rules and regulations. But in another country there are different set of rules and regulations. Child, once if he calls the police that my father or mother has beaten me, they will be behind bars. And if a doctor, while giving a vaccine or injection to the child, if the child cries, and if the father, mother complains to the police, the doctor will be in trouble. So these are the laws. So complicated it is. Just imagine, then what about this, so complicated the laws are, then beyond the human laws comes into the Lord's arrangement, Truti, Kshana, Laghu, Kashta. These are another different set of subject matters which are very difficult to understand. So this is material creation itself is when it is so difficult. Then above this, there are so many laws, even material laws. Just like an Indian couple, before going to Germany, they didn't knew that there are so many laws exist in the Germany government. Similarly, we also don't know what all laws exist in the Lord's creation. If you do this sinful activity, you will get this body, you have to go through this suffering. So ultimately, in one line, a devotee to thoroughly understand that how horrible the material is, sometimes some slap may be required. For those souls, when a person who is in a deep sleep, sometimes what happens? Haribol, Haribol, Haribol. Banging on the door, banging on the bed, literally shaking him. All these things are required. So what is that shaking from Maya once or twice when it happens, then devotee will thoroughly understand how horrible this material world is. Even the Susukam kartumavyayam, that the path of devotional service is so easy. It is joyfully performed. But where joy, Prabhu? Every day it is so difficulty. Either if some one difficulty, if I am able to come out, then one more, some mental problem, some other problem, this problem, health problem, philosophical doubts. So ultimately, we have to come out of all these things. We cannot take Maya, the illusory energy of the Lord, very lightly. Why? Because she is an energy of Krishna. We cannot take so lightly. We have to pray to her every day. Don't affect me. And parallelly, like I think last class Anand Prabhu mentioned, no, Prabhupada mentioned that always remember Krishna, never forget Krishna. So why it is mentioned? Both are same. If you take the translation meaning, both are same. Why it is mentioned? One is do's, another is don'ts. So do's means what? To do your chanting nicely, do reading nicely, do the Japa nicely, try to build a good values, character as a devotee. Then don'ts means what? Don'ts means don't get into Maya. Always fear about Maya. Don't take Maya so lightly. Don't take material word as, oh, anyway, I have become a devotee. All the laws I have transgressed all the laws. Yes, no, we have not transgressed. Even now we are subjected to the laws of this material world. Unless we become Jivan Mukta. So till then, we have to fear. One is that, remember that Krishna is always there. And also remember that along with Krishna, Krishna's energy, Maya, is also there. So Maya, Javanikachannam. So if you want to really understand Krishna, we have to cross this. Then Krishna will be revealed. Krishna himself will reveal to us. Either Krishna will himself reveal, or his servitor, his pure devotee will reveal to us who Krishna is. What is the path of devotional services. With this, I'll stop here. Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki, Nitai Gaur Premanande.